I'm not allowed to play with the effects anymore, but I would like to welcome you to G Life and Planet Earth.
That is a very good look. You should keep that look.
Suzanne Burns from a faraway planet called the UK.
She playing with the filters again. Yep. Yeah. Damn it, Gina.
You too, Nick. Well, welcome. It's 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Welcome to G Live. It's such a pleasure to share these moments with all of you. They are magical moments. And I am very blessed today to introduce our expert speaker, Suzanne Burns. She is a health and wellness expert and a business strategist, and she is also the author of her new book, The Best You. So every Sunday at 10 a.m., we do our best to bring great content to you. This week, we're upping it to 15 minutes of content, and then we will open it up for questions, and that's always a fun time to have some great discussions. So today, Suzanne is going to give us a summary of the 7 steps that are in her book, and it's the 7 steps to look great, feel great, and kick ass. Now, who doesn't want to do that? I want to do that, so I'm excited to learn about that and share this time with Suzanne. So let me get the timer started here. See here. All right, ready, set, go. So Suzanne, let's kick it off with step 1, nutrition. And you put on the step, put shit in, put and get shit out. What does that mean? Start us off and kick us off with step 1.
So for me, it all starts with nutrition. To be honest, making some changes in my life made such a difference to everything. Yeah. And the reason that I put about put shit in, get shit out, is because if whatever we're putting in our body has an impact. And actually, where I say get shit out, that's probably not literal, because if we're not putting great stuff in, some of us don't poop at all. So, but what it does mean is that if we're not putting great stuff in, then what comes out of us is not that great. We don't have great energy, we don't have great skin, we don't have, just the balance within life. We don't feel great about ourselves. So for me, as I said, it all starts with nutrition. I went on a journey about 13 years ago, and it really hugely made a difference in terms of what we eat, going back to our natural state. Mm-hmm. We became over-processed in so many ways, and, we're more hunter-gatherers. And it served really well. And I think it just makes a huge difference when we're eating things that our bodies can process.
So nutrition, and what specific things can we do right now to improve our nutrition?
So some great things to do are drink more water. We are 70% water. Our bodies are 70% water. And, it's amazing that some people don't drink water at all, or count a coffee or a tea for us in the UK as water. So drink more water, and also, high content of raw, high water content foods. So things like salads, I eat just my go-tos actually are chopping up some celery, cucumber, carrots, those sorts of things, and having them to graze on through the day.
Yeah.
So high water content foods, as well as things like small protein and then big salads.
Sure.
So what we can sometimes do is big lots of proteins or carbohydrates and a small side salad. So we just switch things the other way around.
And I think that one of the things that I've done in the past is at the beginning of the week, chop a bunch of vegetables, put them in a bag, and then they're easy to grab. So you grab that instead of the things that are less than healthy. And I think we all know it. It's just that we actually need to do it. And one of the benefits to doing it is that we will have more energy if we start with nutrition. Because I remember in our interview the other day, you reminded us we have all these dreams and all these wonderful things we want. And yet if we're not taking care of our bodies, we won't have the energy to enjoy it. So that was really a ha-ha for me, because I have a lot of dreams. So really, I guess it starts with nutrition so that our body can have the energy to feel happy, feel joyful, and succeed and have the dreams we like. Let's move on to step 2. Know who you are, and while we know it, be who you are.
Yeah, and I absolutely love this piece because, again, as I say, with regards to my book, all these things made such a difference for me. And at one time, I was very lost in terms of who I was. Definitely, I don't think your soul ever forgets. I think you are the soul of yourself. Your soul sort of does take you in directions, because it is who you are anyway. But I think in society, we can take on different people's messages. We can look to be how we think we should be. So we look to fit in, and we look to please, and we look to do things that will get us love, however we perceive that. And certainly the different messages that I took when I was younger were all of those things. So I found, when I look back at one point, I was really trying to be something to everybody to be loved.
Yes.
And I lost who I was. So really the decisions that I was making were trying to almost mind read other people to decide what was the best thing to do. And it just is, it's very, very challenging. And I just wasn't connected to myself. So it's coming back to knowing who you are, and then you can be all of who you are. And there's a couple of exercises that I get people to do, and I love doing myself, which are reminding us of 100 things we love to do as a child and 100 things we love about ourselves. And, often people find it starts as a challenging exercise, and then when they get into the flow, it's joyful, because it's joyful to be who we are. So it's a really key piece, certainly, of my journey, and I think it relates to a lot of people.
I agree 100%. And, as you and I are both around the Tony Robbins environment, what he reminds us all is one of our greatest needs is to remain consistent with who we believe we are. And how often do we really take the time to say, gee, who am I? Because society, our family, everyone else tells us who we should be. We strive for that, and we really miss who we are at our heart. So when I was reading this in your book, it's such an important step to really take a moment. And I love the exercises on how do we do it. How about sitting right now after this blab and sit down and ask yourself, what was great about being a child? What did I love? So that's a wonderful step. Step 3, the value of values. Talk to us about that.
So, in essence, it's very simple. There are definitely things that we value in life, but if we're not consciously aware of those things, then we don't make them, an important part of our day by day or our decisions or that sort of thing. And actually, we have values to us at our core. We could be in a society, in an environment, but we break free of that because our values, we don't feel the same values as that environment. And we are influenced by those people that we respect, love, and care about, and we can be influenced by their values.
Yes.
A big thing is to just be conscious of what our values are, because they really make a difference in terms of the directions we may take sometimes and the decisions that we make. And it helps us because we know, it helps us know ourselves more also. So I suppose as some examples, one of the things that certainly society seems to place a lot of value on is body image. And we as women, we'll see the front covers of magazines and all of those things in terms of a certain body image that we should value. That's very influential, and there's lots of conversations around that particular topic. And when we're clear of what that means for us or what we value around it, then we can take or leave other people's opinions for a start. And one of the things for me around that particular topic is that what I recognized was that actually what I value is energy. So although, I'm a girl, I like to lose a few pounds, look good for the summer, all of those things. And I also like to enjoy things that, would suggest that we maybe shouldn't at times, the little bit of chocolate cake and all of those sorts of things. But what I get is that it doesn't make me take action when if it's just around weight loss.
Yes.
But if I realize that I want more, my energy's affected, or I want to do something that needs my energy, then that will have me make that, go in that direction. And it's at that time that the lovely side effect is that I lose a few pounds.
Nice.
So when we know what we value and we know what makes a difference, then it helps us make our decisions more easily. Just another really quick example of that is if I value health highly, and I might value friends also.
Yes.
And if I'm asked to go out for night partying, and it means that it's going to be a late night and there's going to be, some drinks and all of those sorts of things. And I know that I'm not going to then get up early and go and do my kickstart of the day and get myself into, do my healthy routine. Then I'm going to make a decision around what I value most.
Yes.
And that's for me, that's a great example of how our values impact our decision making and put us on which path we take.
And it's so important. And, what I love about your book is it tells you how to do it. She has sections after every chapter that say, how do we do this? And I know that if we're conscious about what our values are, whether it's health and energy or friendship or love or success, and if we know what those lists are and the priorities, then when we're given the opportunity to have several glasses of wine with a friend, and yet we know we're striving to succeed and complete a goal, we can make a decision. And I know that you may be using that example is for a lot of people relevant, or going out and just hanging out with friends when maybe you should be home focusing really finding the balance, but remembering what's important to you. So if health, and for me, health is really important as well, and as well for my husband. So really taking a moment and making that conscious decision. And so your book outlines beautifully how to come up with your priorities of values. And so ask yourself, what do I value? And it'll be interesting when you realize that what you value may not be what you're doing.
Yeah.
So step 4, and I love this step. Step 4, curiosity versus judgment. Talk to us about that.
So I love this also.
Yeah.
Because, all of these things are so simple, I think, but they're game changers, or they've definitely been game changers for me. And we can be judgmental. I mean, I think that's sometimes the nature of us. But we can decide whether we respond from that place of judgment. And, somebody introduced me to this a long time ago and said, it is much better to be curious than to judge. Because, for example, if somebody is showing up and behaving, for example, in a way that doesn't fit with our value system, then we can judge them. And if we respond from that judgment, it's going to be a very different response and a very different relationship or conversation than if we take a step back, we get curious about what is going on for that person. And we then, it gives us the moment to understand that actually that person isn't in a great state.
Yes.
There's something going on for them that isn't making them happy, maybe. Because why would somebody choose to show up in that way? And even by just getting a sense of that, how we then respond is probably from a more empathetic place and a kinder, a softer place.
Yes.
And that relationship, that response then is very, very different. And it serves us and them far better.
Well, this one is a particularly important one for me. So when I teach, I talk about, being successful in business, or even at my retreats where we're in a group in a village of women, we talk about judgment because we all judge. This is good. This is bad. This is right. This is wrong. And very early in our lives, our environment, our family, and society and social media and all of that teach us what is right and wrong. And so I often find that when you judge someone, it says more about you than it does about the person you're judging. And so being very mindful of that and is important. And what I always ask myself and what I teach my family as well is ask, what don't I know? Right now, I'm declaring judgment on this person. What don't I know? And the problem with judging someone is it puts them in a box and you lose all ability to really influence them in a very meaningful way. So I want to just say that for the people that have just joined us, we're here with expert Suzanne Burns talking about the 7 steps to look great, feel great, and kick ass. We've just gone through steps 1 through 5, and we are now on step 6. Which I love this step also. It's the power of questions. Talk to us about that.
So the power of questions, and I will tribute this completely to the wonderful Tony Robbins, because I have blatantly taken it from him. But again, so powerful and made such a difference, is that actually unconsciously we will be asking ourselves questions all the time. I know we've spoken about this before. Certainly a question in my earlier days, and I think it still creeps in, is how can I be better? Or how can this be better?
Yes. So
we're asking questions all of the time. And a lot of those questions aren't necessarily empowering to us. So even, how can I be better can sound, a reasonably fine question. But when you look at it, it means that you never really get to celebrate where you are, because it's always about how things can be better. And if we don't celebrate where we are, then we're on a constant treadmill of where we need to get to, and that need to get to is never ending.
Yes.
So we want to give ourselves the opportunity to feel great about ourselves and celebrate. So if we ask ourselves different questions, more empowering questions, it allows us to do that. And so that is the power of questions. And in the book, I set out a number of different questions that you can easily ask of what is great about this, what am I grateful for, what am I, what was great about this day. Yes. Lots of different things that are very, very simple, that just have us feel better, focus in better places, that make us feel great and go out and kick ass.
It's such an important thing, and we unconsciously ask ourselves questions all the time. While you were asking, how can I make it better? I grew up in my unconscious state asking, what can I do so you will love me? And it was exhausting. And I would go out, and then if people didn't love me in the exact way that I wanted to be loved, then I felt like a failure. Versus, versus the new question is, how can I appreciate all the love in this moment and that I already have? So it wasn't grasping out there. And it was a big lesson and a learning for me. And for our audience out there, think for a moment, if you ask the question, what's wrong with this, when you walk into a situation, that sends you on a different focus and a different path than what's great about this right now. It's a whole different mindset. It's a whole different life. It's a whole different energy as well. So take a moment, read Suzanne's book, and really think about the questions that you ask yourself. Be more conscious. And who do you have the conversation with most? You have the conversation in your head with yourself most of the time. So people wouldn't even know that we were asking those questions. It was just who we are. So, okay, step 7, gratitude. Talk to us about gratitude in the Suzanne being the best you way.
Oh, so gratitude again is just an amazing gift, the gift of gratitude. I find it hard to believe in some ways that there was definitely a time where I didn't put any focus on what I was grateful for. Oh my gosh. And if we don't do that, and actually another point that I'm coming to is about expectation. And so we have expectation around things, then that it can be really challenging that we have all, we're just expecting stuff and we're not grateful for anything at all. So gratitude is truly a gift. And we've just talked about the power of questions, which is beautiful, because one of the most important questions for me has been, what am I grateful for? And I'll spend time on an evening before I go to bed, spend time when I wake up in the morning and ask, what am I grateful for? And so with that, it changes our focus. It allows us to revisit our day or set our day up in the right way that just has us remember how lucky we are. You know, we get out of bed and breathe. And if you are, you know, if just being grateful for that in the morning as you do it, and you know that you're able to get out of bed, your limbs are working, then that's a celebration in itself.
Yes.
And it starts the day in a completely different way to if we're waking up and our focus is all about what we have to do today and what we feel is expected of us.
Yeah.
That's what
I agree 100%. And, you know, when you feel gratitude, it's very difficult to feel fear.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me is life will throw some challenges our way to remind us of what we really have.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me how, well, this society, our culture, our life teaches us that to be happy, you have to do more, be more, have more. So we're on this constant, fast-paced, demanding treadmill. And then boom, we get a curve thrown at us. Someone has cancer. Someone immediately passes away out of the blue. And you know, things happen. And all of a sudden we pause and say to ourselves, wow, I'm lucky right now. And why not feel that, you know, each day, every moment, and just without the curve. And I think that your book gives some great distinctions on how to feel grateful, even going to bed, saying, you know, before I go to sleep, I'm going to come up with several ways to feel grateful. So step 7 is such an important way to round out the 7 steps. So Suzanne, that was beautiful. And we're about to open it up for questions, which is amazing. And I just want to say that Suzanne has a gift for all of you, and she'll type it into the messages here, and she'll hold it up. Her book just was completed, and she is offering you a digital copy of that for free. So go to her website. Suzanne, do you have that listed? Suzanne, oh, you just put it on there. So it's, you hold up the sheet really quick for everyone. It's suzanneburns.co.uk, and you can go there now and get a free copy of her book. And what's beautiful about it is it's an easy read. You can sit down in an hour and read it and leave with life-changing distinctions. And know that if you're on this path this way and you just shift a couple of millimeters to the left or right, you'll have a whole new life. So let's open it up for questions. Thanks, Suzanne, for that. And let's open it up for questions. And I want to say, you can just type them right here in the screen, and I'll review them. And I just wanted to say that I know that you've made a business out of this. You've made a business out of helping people kick ass in business and feel great and look great. Tell me how you do that.
Well, I guess that I start with the philosophy. My background is business, is human resources, and in a more corporate environment, although about 10 years ago, I left that and started working for myself. And it's always been fascinating for me around work and business, in the sense of, you know, there's a great saying that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, it's true.
And I love that. And one of my highest values is freedom. So I guess that's led me to search for the ways that I can do what I love.
Yes.
That I have freedom of time, of choice, and, really can just enjoy all of those pieces. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I look to help people find, to work in areas that they're passionate about. That, as I say, gives you the freedom that you want, the time that you want, the money that you want, in a culture that you love.
Yes. In
an environment that you love, that has the same values as you. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, really when I say that to anybody, a response can be a little bit wide-eyed of, well, that would be amazing.
Yes.
And the beauty is that actually you can start off by running it alongside anything else that you do. So it really is very exciting, because sometimes for people to make a choice or a jump mm-hmm. in another direction is scary. And it's, there's different things that they need to cover. And so they don't want to take a risk.
Yes.
So it really allows it to be risk-free.
Yes.
I mentor, so I share the different strategies and the different ways. And it's really very, very beautiful to be able to work with people and help them take that leap.
Right. And I think that what you're saying is just so beautiful, because you light up like a firecracker. And I know that the people that you work with in your team is so blessed, and they love you because you create an environment and you emit the best you. So they're seeing a reflection of what it's like to really have the courage to leave what they're doing and they're unhappy, to try something new, that leap of faith. And of course, it takes energy. It takes knowing who you are and asking the right questions and valuing life so much. So you're such a role model. You've been a role model to me too. And I'm always blessed by your wisdom in this area. And so it's wonderful. And so I think that you share that with so many, and then you empower them to go and do it themselves. So that's the beauty of your business too. So you can reach out to Suzanne for that as well. Okay, let me look at some questions.
If I can just say on that point as well, there's people join for many reasons as well. I've talked about the freedom and the time freedom, the money freedom, those sorts of things. But people want a community nowadays, a positive environment.
Yes.
The people who I believe join you on the call and follow you is because of your beautiful, positive energy, as well as your wisdom and the amazing information they get. But we want to be part of something that is empowering and positive and energetic. I can remember years ago being in the corporate environment and people telling me, because I didn't really hang out at the water filters, but that they'd go and get a drink of water or probably a coffee. Yes. And people would be talking about everything that had happened that wasn't great in their lives.
Sure.
And that's what happens a lot. And actually, I've had people come and get involved, and they've done, you can do as much or as little as you want to. But a lot of people, however much they want to do, really stay because of an empowering environment that's fun. So,
and who doesn't want that in life? And, helping, I think that, if you want to know who someone is, as we've learned and we teach, look at the people they surround themselves with, look at the people they spend their time with, because that will either lift you or bring you down. And both of those are an important, whether you're up, you're down, look at your environment. And as we know, where focus goes, energy flows. Tony Robbins teaches that. We teach that. And so being in a place that helps you remember the focus to be the best you is always so beautiful. So let me take a look here. We have a couple of comments. So Woody Marks, we have a caller. He's calling in. We're going to bring him in. He has a question on what made you decide to leave the corporate world. Hey, Woody.
Hey, Suzanne. Hey, Gina.
Hey, love.
So,
Woody,
what was the moment you decided you were leaving corporate world, Suzanne? Great program today, Gina.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. The moment, actually, it was following on from the Anthony Robbins seminar nearly 15 years ago that, as people can see, really changed my life. And it just opened up the possibilities. I mean, at that time I was, I think I'd got a job that I wanted in human resources. I'd moved to a place that I wanted to live. I'd bought my first property, but I was there going, is this it? I thought, if this is it, then I have a long time to live without excitement, without a compelling future, I guess, without, things that are going to keep me going as such. So I made a decision around that time, maybe a little while afterwards, that I just wanted more freedom. And also I wanted to dictate my terms, because I knew in the corporate environment on a number of occasions that there were ideas that I had, that I shared, that other people took credit for and, gave out as their own. And in some ways that's fine, because, we're giving people, I think. But I found the corporate environment to be fairly political. Some people were threatened that if you were showing up with ideas, that somebody may see that and they'd promote you over them, and all of these different things. People weren't really rooting for you, and you weren't in arms.
A control issue.
Pardon?
Sounds like you had a control issue.
Well, I certainly wanted the opportunity to be all that I could be. and I just didn't feel like that was the environment that I was getting it in.
So how was it for the first 6 months when you left corporate?
Well, I was really lucky, actually, in many ways, because through contacts, I was offered a gig, really. And funnily enough, I had put down what I wanted was to work half the time for double the money. And even this one gig meant that I worked half the time and I was getting double the money. Like even now I look back and I just, I celebrate that, because that is such a fun thing to happen. And a lot of the time I have got work through contacts. And also the other thing is, I haven't always gone out to fill my schedule. Because with freedom as a high value, I like freedom of time too. So, sometimes it's been a balance about me being able to do other things that I love to do, but earn the money that I want to earn and have the challenges of being in those sorts of environments. So, yeah. That's what happened.
That's a big question for people. It's an important question, Woody, and I'm really glad you asked it, because people
you hit a major point for me was that your belief about, like, when you set up a goal, like you want to do half of the work and get twice the money, then you start looking for those resources and opportunities. So, that was a good one.
Well, it's just setting your focus. So you had set an intention. So for the audience out there, think about what you want, set your intention, declare it, put it on. And it goes back to all the 7 steps of really knowing what you value, knowing who you are, taking time to think about that and make a declaration that, I want to make a difference in the world and serve at my highest and best and create a village of women. So I started doing my retreats, and it's really knowing who you are and knowing that part of that is courage, bravery, and determination and focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. And so knowing that and every day declaring that, I know one of the things I know about Woody, I'm going to put him on the spot for a moment, is he has a beautiful statement of who he is as a man in this world. And he starts his day off with it every single day. And it sets his, as we talked about, focus. And it actually encompasses all of these things. If you think about it, and when you hear it, and I'm going to put him on the spot to declare it, but you think about Suzanne's 7 steps: nutrition, know who you are, values, curiosity versus judgment, appreciation, the power of questions, and gratitude. When you listen to Woody say this, notice how he declares it.
This is Suzanne.
It embodies everything that Suzanne.
Let's hear Suzanne.
Do it.
All right. So on 3, pay attention, everyone, to the how.
This is Suzanne's show. What are you talking about? The purpose of my life.
Woody Cakes, my Wookie Cakes from Alabama, straight out of that foreign country called Alabama.
Before I start, Suzanne, great content.
Come on, Woody.
Also, before Woody just does go into it, and I don't know, because we may change subject afterwards, but I just do want.
The purpose of my life, you want me to do? The purpose of my life is to be a passionate, loving, outrageous soul who creates, gives, shares, and enjoys all God's fulfillment as I empower myself and others to be their very best, to live in a beautiful state, and to live their dreams no matter what. This is who I am. This is who I desire and so to be. With my faith, my determination, my self-confidence, and my resolve, I can overcome. I can defy any odd. Yes, I'm gifted. Yes, I'm guided. Yes, I'm certain. When I'm in a beautiful state, it's decided.
Woo!
I'm not through. It goes on and on. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. And after listening to Suzanne and Gina today on this show, I'm unstoppable.
Woo! I'm going to go kick some ass.
Yeah.
Well, imagine
and then there's that.
Imagine starting your day like that.
Enough about me. Let's move back to the author and the new books you got coming out. Now, when is it going to be available?
It's available now. If you go to www.suzanneburns.co.uk, it is there now. You can get it. You can go and download it. It's in the chat.
And then you can. How do you do that? Do you do that into some kind of device?
You just click on it in the chat. Can you see it in the chat? Click on it. It'll take you through, or you put that into your browser and it will take you through, and you can download it there.
It's free. She's giving it out as a gift because today it's the secret initial first release to the Blab audience.
You're going to give out some free books, Gina. You're always charging for your books.
I know. What can I say? I'll have to put mine up for free now.
Can I just go back to what we were saying before about the putting out the intention and saying to work double the time, the other way, half the time for double the money. I just wanted to mention that at that time, so who I am, how I present myself today in terms of confidence and all of those things wasn't who I was at that time. So it wasn't that I felt like it was already done.
Yes.
It wasn't. There was a lot going on within me of, was I going to make this work? How was this going to work out? I was taking a risk. I left a corporate job to go out by myself. So I don't want it. I do want it to sound easy in the sense that I answered it because that was the case. And as Woody's shown, you put your intention out there and my story backs it up, that when you know what you value, when you've made a decision around it, and because it links in with your values, then you're more willing to put yourself out there. It doesn't mean that there's nothing that goes on within you that's some nervousness or some challenge or any of those things. But what I did recognize when we were talking was, because I had set that intention, if somebody came to me with work and when I looked at it, it wasn't going to fit that criteria, then I would have made that decision not to take it because I was focused on my outcome.
All right, so you're focused on your outcome. So when things got tough, what would you go to get in a resourceful state? What was say a strategy you would do to get into a resourceful state when, especially the day you went in and told them you were quitting?
Yeah, good question.
Actually, at that time, my go-to was activity. I have a strong work ethic, and although I know, now I might answer it differently in terms of what I might do of putting myself into state. But at that time, it was a lot of activity, because by doing activity, it changes your focus. You're focused on getting stuff done. And also by doing activity, I believe so much in the fact that life is a numbers game in that way. You need to take some no's, but you get through the no's to get that yes. So my go-to was really activity.
And when Suzanne talks about state, she's talking about your emotional state and ways to change it. Because there are times we get into a state where we're discouraged, we're unsure, we start spiraling down that direction. So there's tools and techniques to change your state. And one is changing your activities. What's another one? Suzanne?
Saying an incantation, just like I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remembering who you are, changing your physiology, changing your language, changing your focus, all of those things.
Stuff earlier, Gina, about more the questions you asked. The question part of her thing is so powerful, because if you really start listening to what you're saying to yourself in terms of a question, in really stressful times, you can interrupt that by asking a better question.
Absolutely. If you're asking a question, if you're in a project, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and if they're sitting and working on a team project and you're saying, why is this going wrong? What's wrong with this? You guys can't get this done. Then the focus is going to be on everything wrong, versus asking a question is, okay, what has to happen so we can solve this problem and move to the next level? What has to happen so that we can succeed and get done what we need to get done? It's totally two different trajectories. So questions are so very, very important.
Well, how do you get yourself to ask that right question?
Another way, this may answer what you're asking, Woody, as well, a little bit potentially. But another thing that is my go-to, and it's sort of around the know yourself and be yourself. If we know different things that fill us up.
Yes.
So nature is a big thing for me. For me to be out in nature, it can be with the horses, it can be going for a walk, it can be by water, those things. So I can go and physically put myself in an environment that I know serves me. And from being in that environment, I feel differently. It impacts my energy, And so that does make a difference to how resourceful that I feel. And from there, there's a different answers come.
Yes.
It's not the environment. It's not the circumstances. Sometimes it's an environment you can go fill up in when you're challenged.
Yeah,
it's true. It's all of that environment. It's the phone a friend. It's the environment. It's the questions. It's all of the things in Suzanne's 7 steps. So thank you so much for calling in, Woody. Thank you, Suzanne. It's been
love you, girls.
I love you, Woody. And Suzanne, your 7 steps are just brilliant. So go to Suzanne's website right now and get the gift of her book and take a moment. It's Sunday morning. Have a cup of tea, sit outside, and enjoy the process and the journey that she takes you on. She's brilliant. And I love you, Suzanne. And thank you so much, all of you. We're here every Sunday at 10 a.m. And if you want to go to my website tomorrow, by then there'll be a good book review on Suzanne's book and another link to get her book. It's GinaKloes.com, GinaKloes.com. Be well, be joyful, be inspired. Have a beautiful day today. Lovely to be with you. Thanks again, Suzanne. Mwah! See you next week, guys. Bye.
Thank you.